Okay, this is basically we're coming up on the 60,000 miles on my wife's 2013 335i xDrive. Basically, I believe the 60,000 miles is just spark plugs, oil change. That's pretty much it. Regular other maintenances happen basically through the cycle, and you can use the information center to tell you when to do certain things. So right now I'm basically just going to do the, I'm going to pull over for 1 second. We are going to do the fogging, I guess it's called fogging. I don't know, the fuel, we're going to do the fuel injector cleaner. The process of using the vacuum line and then basically drawing it into the intake system, and then running about a half a can full into there, shutting the vehicle down for about 30 minutes, and then starting it up and holding it at a higher RPM until you start burning clean out the exhaust again. I guess because of the turbos on these cars, and I'm not so sure about this generation, I really can't find any information on it, but I have noticed on a cold start, and even sometimes when you're in park at an idle, it will idle a little rough sometimes, not very often. Like right now it's idling very, very smooth. And this car has been fantastic. All I have done is the normal maintenance, which is oil changes, brake fluid flush, brake pad replacement, air filter replacement, and that's it. Nothing else. I've had zero issues with this thing. It's been fantastic. So what I'm going to do is last year I meant to do it. We did I bought a Burger tuner and a cold air intake system, and that's supposed to be like the 70 horsepower tuner, I guess. It's I think it's a stage 2 because you can do a cold air intake. And what I want to do is I'm going to do a test run. We'll put it in Sport Plus. It is raining, which is nice because this is all-wheel drive, so it shouldn't matter much. And we'll do a couple launches and we'll see, and then we'll see what it is like now, and then I'll go through and do all the changes, and I'll do the fogging first, or the injector cleaner first, using the Seafoam. That's it. I kept saying fogging. I meant Seafoam. Using the Seafoam first, going through that process. Then I'll change the plugs out, do the cold air intake, and then install the Burger tuner since it's all apart anyway. And then we'll run and we'll do it again. I probably won't do a full step-by-step install on these individual components, but I will step you through the Seafoam and basically what comes out the exhaust, and kind of how I figured out which vacuum line to use and stuff to draw the material through. And then when we get the cold air intake installed, there's tons of videos on that, so that's kind of pointless. And from what I remember, I thought I bought an AFE, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's been almost a year since I purchased it. I've been building my garage, and I kind of got caught up in doing that. So, but I've been really wanting to work on this car, and it's raining. I can't work on the garage right now, and the inside is done enough that I can start using it. It is a little bit cold. It's about 45 degrees. I probably will only do this video and little run here, and then tomorrow morning I'll start working on it. Yeah, so let's see what happens. This is basically an industrial park over by my house, and it's pretty empty, so I've done this quite often over here. And we're not going to be going very fast anyway. I'm going to put it in Sport Plus. So I got it in Sport Plus, and then I'll put it into manual. So a manual 1, and then we'll just do initial pull. So I'll kind of step on a little bit. This thing is quite fast and exhilarating. Even to now, it amazes me how well this thing takes off. They must have these things way underrated. It says it's only like 320 horsepower or 330 or somewhere around there. I swear it feels like 400 horsepower. I'm always impressed with this thing. This automatic, it's an automatic. I mean, it's okay. The manual shifting is kind of cool, but unless you're in sport mode on the transmission itself, because you can just put it over in sport and leave everything else in comfort. It kind of sucks, I guess you could say. But for an automatic, it's pretty good. So let's turn around and do that again. Except this time, I think I'm going to leave it in auto. So that time I did it manually, and I manually shifted it. And I flip a U-turn right here. So Sport Plus, obviously this is all-wheel drive. We'll do that again. So give it a little bit of revs, about 1500. That's 60. I mean, that's freaking fast. That's fast. And this road is kind of curvy. So, oh, wow. I'm telling you, I'm really, really curious on what's going to happen when we put the tuner in this thing. Especially with my wife. I don't know what she's going to do. This is her daily vehicle. So it's got 56,200 miles on it. And we've had it for about 34,000 miles. So, and almost 3 years. 4 years. Almost 4 years, I think. 3 or 4 years, I don't recall. I think it's 4 years. But yeah, this season's fantastic. So alright, let's get back home and then we'll start working on this thing. Okay, so it is the next day. And I'm going to start doing the seafoam treatment. Which I have this can right here. Right there. You see? So basically what I've seen, I've watched a few videos on it, the guys were taking a small vacuum line, placing it inside the can, and then finding a place where we can do a slight separation while the engine is running, and drawing it in. And then use probably about half the can, and then let the vehicle sit for about 30 minutes. And then the rest of the can dump into the fuel tank. After that 30-minute time has passed, basically start it up, obviously with the vacuum lines plugged back in, and then let it run out until the smoke stops coming out the tailpipe. So what I'm going to do first though is I need to pull the engine cover off, and I need to find a vacuum line that is near the throttle body, which is basically over there. Okay, let's see, way down there. So it's down there somewhere. So I got to pull the cover off and see if I can find a vacuum line. I thought I saw them on a previous model use the brake brake vacuum hose. So we'll see. I have a small tube. This is I think what does it say? It's a 7/32 by 6 foot hose. I'll end up cutting it to whatever length I need, and then we'll try that and see if I can get to draw in. But this is what I'm now calling the new part of my old garage, if that makes sense. This is where my old garage used to be, which I tore down and rebuilt, and this is what we built last year. So this has been up for a year. This whole section here has been up for a year. There's no lighting or electrical in there yet. And this has just been up for 6 months maybe. So still work in progress. I'm waiting for materials to come in, and it's getting cold, and I'd like to get this done on my wife's car, and her mileage is getting up, so we're working on it. But let me find that vacuum line, and then I'll start recording again when I get that sorted out. I'll let you know which one it is. Okay, so this is what I did. I actually did it already. I did the seafoam. And what I did is I disconnected the brake vacuum line, which is right here, underneath this piece, and I just kind of shoved this hose in there, and then I drew in, I sucked in about half of the can. This is the thing when you're doing these things, since there's really no video on this. I did see where they actually, the guy disconnected the intake tube, and they shoved it in there and kind of sprayed it in there so it went through the intake. But I followed the vacuum line for the brake booster. It went around, and then basically the same for the PCV. It went through into looks like a collection area down below, down here, down in there. You can see down there, so I can move you. Those hoses right down there. 2 black hoses that are connected to that. That looks like a recirculation system. I'm unsure, which sucks because now it makes me a little worried. But it looks like it goes into the bottom side of the intake. And obviously, this being a turbo engine, its system was a little different than naturally aspirated. So we'll have to see what happens. But I'm gonna let it sit here for probably 15-20 minutes or so, and then I'll start it back up and I'll rev it up, because obviously you're doing it at a low RPM, and it sucks it in pretty fast. We're talking 15-20 seconds, it sucked in half the can, so it's pulling in pretty good. The engine didn't make any sounds or any changes at all, so I'm assuming it's just kind of laying in the intake or something. So when we start it up, and I'm gonna hold the RPM up high enough, and we'll see what happens. Of course, I got the door open for ventilation, so yeah. All right, let's see what happens. So I ran the seafoam through, and the engine was nice and hot. I held at 2,000, but honestly, I couldn't see anything. I mean, I could smell it. It smells kind of weird, but there's no smoke or anything coming out the tailpipe. So I mean, it didn't do anything but a couple little things here and there, little droplets or whatever. But there wasn't really any smoking. I mean, I could smell it. It smells like it's burning something, but it's kind of weird. So I was expecting a lot more from it. Actually, the engine did get more responsive, so I guess it worked. So what I ended up doing is I dumped half of it through there, let it suck it half through, and then I actually took off the intake tube right here. I took off the intake tube right here while it was idling, and I stuck the funnel in there and I dumped the rest of it in there, and then just revved it up, and it kind of stuttered a little bit, and that was about it. And then I could smell it. I could smell something burning off the tailpipe, but other than that, I mean, this thing runs really smooth. It was a little choppy before, but it runs really smooth. I'm now going to change the spark plugs out. I'm not going to do a step-by-step on that. Keys Motorsports has a really, really good step-by-step spark plug change, which is actually what I just watched. So go watch his video on how to do the plugs on these. And then also, just make sure you do gap them. And then I'm going to do the cold air intake, which is an AFE and a burger tuner sitting over there. So we're going to install that while we have everything out. So I'm in the process of taking the strut brace off and everything, and I was just doing the burn through on there, and I did drop one of the caps, so I had to go find it. One of the little caps up there that you got to take off to get to the two strut braces. And so be really careful when you go to pop them out. They do have a habit of just like springing out at you. So, but yeah, the seafoam, I can't tell any difference, so I don't know. We'll have to see. Something to note. I just spent the past 2 hours looking for a particular spark plug socket, because for some reason, you can see right in here, you have to have one that has very, very deep shank in there, because the plugs inside the head are not in the same plane as the hole that's drilled in the head. It's a little bit of an angle, so you have to be able to get down there and pitch the spark plug socket a little bit of an angle to actually get it to go over top of the socket. So I ended up buying 3 different spark plug sockets before I found one that worked. So the one with the magnetic inside of it doesn't work, so don't get that one. You have to find one that's got a rubber grommet down inside and has a deep shank. I don't know if you can see in there. You can see right there? It has to be pretty deep inside there. Otherwise it doesn't work. That's the only issue I've had. I took out one spark plug, the first one, and it actually looks fantastic. That cylinder looks like cylinder. I started in the front, cylinder 1. The plug looks fantastic. So let's go with the next one. I'll just keep replacing them. All right. Plugs changed. Seafoam ran through them all. I did that first. Now, as you can see, everything's taken apart. We're going to do the cold air intake. There's AFE power right there. So I'm going to get that installed. If I see anything tricky to the install, I'll key in and I'll video that. But I think there's plenty of these on the internet. This is more or less a bone stock to, say, a stage 1 package, so to speak. So between the cold air intake and the burger tuner, and then changing the plugs, which whenever you do a tuner, you should always change the plugs, regardless of the miles. You should just do it. Put a fresh set of plugs in it and install your tuner. So we're going to do the cold air intake. I did the plugs, do the cold air intake. I'll fire that up and then shut it off, and then install the burger tuner, and then we'll do a driving video. Hopefully I won't run out of time today, because screwing around with the stupid spark plugs took me like 2 hours and wasted my day. Wasted 2 hours of my day. It's now 4 o'clock, so we'll see how long it takes to install this cold air intake. Shouldn't be that bad. I think it's just straight right here and that's it. So we'll see. That, and I want to check out what this filter looks like. I haven't touched it, I don't know how long. It's the last maintenance on the car I think was 2 years ago? Maybe a year ago? This is the 4-year 50, so it's 7 years old. So maybe 3 years ago was the last time it was touched. So, trying to find all the tabs. Let's see what this filter looks like. You know what? I may have put this one in here because this looks like a Fram. I don't know what that is. Well, that's where that part of that stuff went. I could tell you that much. It went right into the air box. But yeah, this filter doesn't look too bad. It's a little dirty, but it's not too bad. But stock filter. So this thing should run pretty good with colder intake on it. We should get some nice sounds out of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and start doing that. I can't wait to drive it and see the difference. All right, first start with the AFE cold air intake. I purchased this system from another system from AFE for my F-150, my old truck, and that one was a pain in the ass to install because the things just don't fit nicely, I could say. I'm feeling the same way about this one. There's a reason. I believe there's a reason why these systems are cheap. They're kind of ragtag, not very engineered very well. I mean, this fitting right here for the automatic is about ridiculous. Why would they do that? Why would they stick that fitting right there? Why not put it like right there in that opening? I'll see if I can set the light down. Why not put the fitting like right here? We could put it right here and a 90 out right here, cut this hose a little shorter, and there's plenty of room right here. I mean, it could have ran down and over. Instead, we got this thing that's kind of loosely kind of hanging there. Kind of, I got the light in the right spot. It's kind of right here. It's kind of loose. I'm hoping it's gonna be okay. It's kind of just sitting underneath the intake, resting next to the upper radiator hose. So we'll see what happens. But the whole thing is kind of, not too fond of it. It seems kind of engineered poorly. All right, let's start it up. See what it sounds like. Well, that's a hell of a blow-off sound if I ever heard one. I did let it warm up for a minute, so it's been running off and on the past few hours. But wow, that was quite the intake sound. Jeez. Well, let's see if my wife likes it. It sounds a little boy racer, but we'll see what happens. All right, next to the burger tuner. There's no instructions with that, so I think I'm gonna have to go look that up online. All right, everything is installed and back together, and obviously it's running. This is not a burger tuner, it's a tuner Motorsports tuner, which is very, very similar. I installed it underneath by the battery over there. There's a bracket, a steel bracket over there. I tie wrapped it to the steel bracket by the battery so I can actually get to it pretty easily. They suggested mounting it over in this area here. I didn't like that idea. And you can't even tell it's installed. But I can get to that very quickly and put the jumper in there if I want to bypass it. Maybe there's a problem or something like that. But let's get the camera set up and go for a spin. I mean, it sounds just like stock, so at idle, even with the cold air intake in there. So let's go take it for a spin. That's just what it looks like. Looks okay, I guess. All right, let's set the camera up. All right, so far it seems pretty much the same as it was before. Just driving over here, I can't really tell any difference. Just normal traffic driving. The throttle and just regular comfort, it seems a little more sensitive. But that's about it, which is actually kind of good. Before it kind of sucked. So we gotta check this road out. We've got some storms come through, and I want to make sure there's no branches or anything out here before I give it a good pull. So looks like we might have people out here hunting. Huh. Yeah, it's that time of year in Michigan. Hunters. Alright, I think I got the camera relatively the same location, but it looks like it's a little bit off, but no big deal. So we're going to do the same thing. I'll go up here and then do a turnaround, and then we'll do a pull back, and then turn around and do a pull this way, just to get an idea. Make sure this thing's not flying all over the place. I had my handheld controller, so I'm going to do a turnaround right here. We'll do the same thing. I'll put it in Sport Plus, and then Manual, and then we'll shift. So I'll do it right here. It's a little bit different spot, but close. So I'll put in Sport Plus, Manual. We'll roll out, and I'll do the same thing, 1500, and then pull. See if there's a huge difference. Should be about 75 horsepower, give or take. So I'll do 2 foot, go up about 1500. Go. Holy shit. Oh yeah. It has a little bit of a lag. It's kind of weird. Now it almost has like a turbo lag. As soon as the RPMs get up though, it goes. Goes. I mean, I can hear the blow off. Let me do that again. I'm gonna go a little bit higher though, I think this time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's going. It goes pretty good. I mean, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough that it makes a pretty good difference. So, I'll do a turnaround real quick and do it again. I'll leave it in Sport on the transmission and let it shift itself. It's shifting at about 7,200 RPM, I've noticed. So this time I'm not going to rev it, I'm just going to smash it from a dig without holding the brake. You can kind of hear it there. Did you hear it? Feel it or whatever? Feel it. You had to have heard it. It like went and then went. Too bad she won't let me do any of the suspension because this thing's a little slushy. It needs some suspension work. The tires are good, but I mean it's rolling pretty good right now. I love the blow-off sound. seems, we'll have to check it out, and it seems to be running pretty good. The plugs were a pain. The spark plug thing was just crazy. The socket was just insane. But I did end up having to check. I did check the gap on every one of them, and I did torque it, and I think it was 22 Newton meters. I think I did 22 or 23 Newton meters. It pretty much has a crush washer, and it stops turning. So, but yeah, that's it. And be careful when you're backing the plugs out. They kind of feel like they're hanging on the threads a little bit. Just be easy with it. Don't pull the threads out. That's the only thing I found a little weird while I was doing the plugs. But this thing's running really well. Pretty happy with it. All right. Thanks for watching.